how does that even transpire? Like, how do you get into starting your own MC?
This is Miklo 1%er, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got... What's up, man?
What's up, Staxx? How you doing, bro?
I'm chilling, man. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time.
No problem.
Yeah, so you got a wild story. We're going to get into it today.
yeah, I've lived a little bit, you know.
Definitely. I've seen you all over the place on the internet. You make your rounds.
Right on.
Where were you born and raised?
Likewise.
Yeah.
I am from the DMV, man. DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So DC.
And what was your early life like?
You know, the DMV is a wild place, man. You know, it's got some of the most notorious hoods you've ever seen, and it's also got the richest neighborhoods, government, CIA, all that kind of stuff, man. It's a big melting pot. You know, I grew up in a pretty rough area of the DMV, Route 1, Woodbridge, Virginia. You know, and yeah, I just grew up in that DMV, man, place.
Were you getting into trouble at a young age?
Yeah, man, as far back as I can remember, absolutely.
And for the people that don't know, what nationality are you?
So I am Puerto Rican and Russian. My father's side is Russian, Eastern European. My mother's side is Puerto Rican.
When you were younger, did you
white? You know what I mean? I look very white.
Did you get a lot of flack because of looking white when you were younger?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm blonde hair, green eyes. And the area I grew up in, man, there wasn't a ton of white people. So, and I've always spoke Spanish. My mother's side of the family taught me Spanish at a young age. I've always, hung out with a Spanish crowd, etc. So I got the nickname Miklo when I was like 14, 15 years old. I didn't even know who Miklo was at that time. I hadn't even seen this movie, Blood In, Out. I got locked up when I was about 15 years old. Right around my 15th birthday, I got sent to a behavior modification program in Utah. And I was there from 15 to 18. Right when I got out there, some cats from a hood in California, they said, "Man, you're the real Miklo." You know what I mean? That's who it was at the time, but they were like, "You're real life Miklo, man." Now you're speaking Spanish, white, blonde hair and shit.
Damn, so they sent you out there
to I got down
Utah?
with
what was Utah like?
Yeah, man. It's a wild place, man. It's those they call them behavior modification programs. Back in the early 2000s, they were sending a lot of kids there, man. It's them places where, in the middle of boys from Utah will, kidnap you from your bed and take you out there. And a lot of it's illegal now, man. The courts are coming down on those places. Somebody that was out there with me is making a documentary about the abuse out there and shit. There's a lot of shit going on with that. There was a lot of shit that they did to us then is now illegal. You know what I mean? I don't know how much you know about those places.
I heard a little bit. I heard they like make you walk far and they don't feed you and things like that.
That's right. That's right. Hikes up the mountains and stuff. Chambers, orange jumpsuit. It was wild, man. I was there for 3 years.
3 years? Like, how is that even possible? Yeah. They just keep you there for 3 years?
Yeah, I got in trouble, man. I got expelled. I brought, weapons to school. I brought some kitchen knives to school. This kid had stole my bike, and I knew who it was that had stole my bike, and I brought some knives to school and, tried to go after him and stuff. And then they let me back into school a few years later, and, that with my hood, and there was a big fight between two gangs, two neighborhoods in the parking lot, the school, and that combined with truancy and stuff, by the end of it, they were just sick of me. You know, the judge recorded this place in Utah, and they sent me out there. And man, the whole time I was there, I was getting in trouble. So, you know, but it was all right. It was right down the highway from a prison, right? So a lot of the trucks that were headed to prison up at our place first, and we had all the same jumpsuits, sandals, all the food, everything was the same. It was like a juvenile prison.
Yeah. I bet you the judges were probably getting paid off to send people there, right?
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what they said.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that too. Like the judges were getting money for each kid that they were. You said you're glad you went there?
I'm glad I went to Utah. Some of the places, I'm glad I went to Utah instead of some of the other places were outside of the United States, and they weren't subject to U.S. law, man. And they were sending kids, to like Guam and shit, chaining them in holes in the middle of the jungle and shit, chaining kids up and shit. It was wild, man. So
that's crazy.
Utah wasn't that bad compared to what some other kids got. Yeah.
So when you come back, what's it like when you come back?
When I was 18 years old.
Yeah, you're 18 when you get back?
I got back, right. Yeah. I got back when I was about 18 years old, and I started getting right back into training. I was just a lot smarter about it after that. You know what I mean? I learned how to not get caught. But I got right back to the same neighborhood, running with the same cats.
Yeah.
I sent you the pictures. You've seen the pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I'll put them into this so people can see them. So what do you start doing once you get back? By this time, are you involved into motorcycles at all? So,
I've always ridden bikes and stuff. I hadn't gotten into clubs yet. I was running around with my neighborhood. The current administration out there, man, is designating some of these groups as full-blown terrorist organizations now. So, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I was running around with my hood. The first interaction with clubs, man. So the first outfit that tried to recruit me was the Rough Riders. I used to breed American bulldogs, and but it's like a pit bull type of dog. I used to breed American bulldogs, and the Rough Riders, they have what's called the dog division. And because I was registering with this certain kennel club, they would comb that registry to recruit people for their dog division. They found out I had a bike, and that was the first group that tried to recruit me. I wasn't feeling it, you know what I mean? And then another local 1% club tried to recruit us. They were starting a chapter in our town, and it's actually you just did some interviews with the national of that club.
Yeah.
It's a righteous club, man. It wasn't for me.
Did you have a Harley, or were you on street bikes at the time?
Yeah, so I started out on a street bike, a Honda, like crotch rocket CBR 600. And a lot of my homeboys from the neighborhood were riding bikes too. And when this other club tried to recruit us, it's a mainly African American, like a mainly black club, and all of us were Spanish. You know what I mean? We weren't really feeling it, but a lot of us were like, we start growing out of the street gang, immature kid stuff, and looking toward MCs. And basically, me and several other people from my neighborhood started this club, Los Perros.
How does that even transpire? Like, how do you get into starting your own MC, and what's the process? Do you have to pick a name? Are you guys sitting around thinking of a logo? Like, how does that work?
So I was a tattoo artist for the hood. I had a tattoo gun, and I did what's called scratching, which is tattooing from home. And I had it up everybody in my neighborhood, and the whole dog thing, pit bulls and everything, it was kind of a running theme for our hood. All of us had pit bull tattoos. We had pit bulls. I was breeding American bulldogs at the time. You know, the dog thing, it was just kind of a running theme with us from day one. And you know, when it came time to you know, originally we were what's called a bike life crew. So originally we had just homeboys from the hood that had dirt bikes, four-wheelers, whatever they get their hands on, and we were just rolling around the DC area, you know, doing wheelies, running red lights, jumping up on the sidewalk, all kind of crazy stuff. If you look up a DC bike life, you know what I mean, you'll see those types of groups and stuff. And that's how we started out. It was more, it wasn't even really a club. We had t-shirts and stuff like that. And essentially what ended up happening is some of us wanted to take it to the next level and get serious and become a club. And a lot of the other homeboys didn't. And those that weren't down with it kind of fell off with time. And those that did are still here. You know, we just continued by step. Eventually, you know, we started coming into contact with other clubs, other 1% clubs. You know, I came into contact with somebody from one of the big four, ended up becoming kind of a mentor to me. He's now a member of our club. He left the club he was with and is now with us.
So he left one of the big four and came to your club.
Yeah.
When you come across people that are in the bigger clubs, right? Do you have to go and ask permission to start this club?
They say, man, that's never been what we've been about, ever. We've never asked nobody's permission, never will. You know, Staxx, in all honesty, you know, we've talked a little bit about that. That's what I've written books speaking out against those practices, man. I've published 2 books speaking out against those practices right there, man. Look at the indictments that just happened in Texas. That's exactly, they spell it out at the press conference. They said this club is trying to make a monopoly on MC life in this area, and you know, they will not suffer any other club starting up without their blessing and permission, etc. You know, I mean, people out there, man, that are just natural followers, and they just fall right in line with that type of program. But you know, not 1%ers, man. 1%ers don't ask permission. You know what I mean? You put on a patch and you're ready to defend that patch. We were told early on by certain groups to take it off. You know, you can't wear a patch without our permission, etc. But you know, it didn't go their way. We're still here.
Oh, so you did have people come and tell you take it off?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, did you, when you first started, did you have a diamond? Did you have a diamond?
Not at first, but it wasn't long before we put it on, man. You know, like I said, I came into contact with a brother that eventually became kind of a mentor to me, and he started laying it down, man. And you know, 1%ers are born, man. You either are or you are not. It's not something you can teach. You know, 1%ers are born. And you know, when you come into contact with 1%ers, they realize they come to terms real quick. You know, they recognize real quick you are a 1%er. This cat that, you know, mentored me, he was from a major big. Very quickly, he said, "You guys are winners. You guys are 1%ers without a 1% patch." You know what I mean? And you know, shortly thereafter, we designed our 1% patch and put it on. You know, it's something we live. It's something we believe in with everything we got. You know, we have a saying about 1%ers, man. A 1%er is somebody who has gone through life looking for a certain truth that they've never been able to find until one day they meet other 1%ers. And when they hear speak, they recognize their words as the truth they've been looking for all along. And they know they are home, you know. So it's something you're born with, man. In the movie Hell's Angels Forever, the dude said it. He said in every classroom, there's at least one youngster that's a little rowdier than the rest, and it's a little harder to cram bullshit down his throat. And as he gets older, it becomes harder and harder. And then one day he meets me and my brothers and realizes he belongs. I mean, that's it. Yeah.
So what is it to be a 1%er to you?
Brotherhood motorcycle, you know, that no outside entities control our destiny in the end. You know what I mean? We answer to each other and to our bylaws. You know, it's brotherhood, motorcycling freedom, BMF.
Yeah.
So that's what we live by. It's a philosophy, man. It's a philosophy. And if you believe in that philosophy wholeheartedly and live by it all day, every day, then you have every right to wear and represent what you live by, what you believe in.
So you guys been there for a while,
So,
right? How long
yeah,
has your club been in existence?
started in 2012. We put on the diamond in 2017.
And so your time being
we got
involved with this club, you've probably seen other clubs come and go, right?
absolutely. Yeah, man. You know, that's the whole thing. These pop-up clubs, man, they don't last. You know, if it's not in your heart, you're not gonna last. Period. This isn't what I'm doing. This is who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not something that you're just trying to like, oh, I'm just trying to do this. It's like your life. This is your life work,
Right. It ain't
basically,
no
right?
phase. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
Absolutely.
a
I would
phase.
die with this man.
You're in different states too, right?
Yeah. We and we're international as well. We're in South America, Asia, Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
grew
we've
quite a
like I was
bit.
telling you, yeah, yeah, man. We became that pretty quickly because I make music in Spanish. You know what I mean? I've worked pretty big name artists in places like Mexico, Puerto Rico, and you know, people in all these other countries would hear about me. And what I'm rapping about in my songs is Los Perros Motorcycle Club. You know what I mean? So people would hit me up and be like, "What's up?" You know, trying to start a chapter down here in Colombia or Peru or whatever. You know what I mean?
How does it
You
feel
know,
to have your
if you're
club
made for it,
get
if
so
you're
big?
perro,
How does it feel to have it
you
get
know, we're
so
not the biggest
popular and
club
big?
out there, man. Not the biggest club out there, you know what I mean? But we have done some, you know, pretty remarkable as our most a lot of clubs don't make it this far, man. You know, it's chess. You gotta play your moves correctly, or you know, a lot of clubs don't last, man. Our intelligence, our greatest weapon. You know what I mean? And essentially, with this club, man, we kind of set out to study every club we could, all the history we can, and our goal is to use what has worked for other clubs and avoid what has failed other clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think about the way that motorcycle clubs are portrayed in the media?
So, you know, motorcycle clubs, outlaw motorcycle clubs in the United States have been intertwined with like since like the 60s, man. The clubs in California, there's certain clubs in California that have had long standing you know, romance with Hollywood, you know what I mean? You know, so and they I think they liked seeing them on the big screen, you know, so to speak, especially back then. Um, you know, it is what it is. People are interested. You know, the general public is interested. That's why, you know, all these videos on YouTube get so many views when we poke our heads out. You know what I mean? It is
Yeah,
what it is. It's an intriguing culture to public.
but the news and the
Yeah.
police are labeling them gangs. So what do you think about that?
You know, man, look, I hate to see any club go through anything like that. I don't like, you know, the law enforcement plays extremely dirty. I've seen it with my own two eyes, man. You know, they will create crime where there wasn't any. That's a fact. I've seen it happen. You know what I mean? So I'm not a fan of any of that shit. But on the other hand, I feel like in a lot of instances, we're not doing ourselves any favors. You know, when you've got chairman of the COC all over the internet talking about if you come to my area without my permission, we're gonna beat you up and take your patches. It's not too much stretch for law enforcement to be able to prove that it's systemic practice within the culture, man. You know, that's what they busted. That's what that 14 count indictment is right now going on in Houston, Texas. That they're not busting them dudes for drug running or gun running or prostitution. They're busting them dudes for patch policing. You know,
Yeah.
and I like I said, I feel like we're not doing ourselves any favors with this whole unwritten territorial system enforced by violence. So I mean, we got to take what comes. If we're out there playing that shit, then don't go crying when people call you a gang. You know what I mean? The people that suffer the most are clubs like us, because we don't practice that shit. And yet, because we have a 1% diamond and because we look the part or whatever, we suffer the consequences. We get labeled automatically. You know what I mean? We don't play none of that shit. We ain't never patched police on anybody.
Do you think it's possible for these clubs to coexist peacefully?
I think that as long as this system of dominance and blessings is in play, no, I don't think so. Because as long as you have one club trying to control another club under the threat of violence, it's going to be this repetitive cycle. Because when that occurs, it's only a matter of time before somebody is strong enough to stand up and say, nah, you're like, like us. Somebody tries bullying us, we say, nah, you're not bullying us, homeboy. It ain't going down like that. And then that's when it turns into gunplay. That's when it turns into the violence. The only way that it can end is if clubs start to embrace universal etiquette and respect. We don't got to be holding hands singing Kumbaya around the campfire, but we should be able to coexist under universal etiquette and respect. Nobody wants their house messed with. Nobody wants their vehicles messed with. Nobody wants their family or their spouse messed with. These are universal things that we can all embrace. It's only when one club attempts to control another club against their will that the it's supposed to be a culture of it's supposed to be a mark of kindred spirits. We all believe in the same thing. We're supposed to, so under universal etiquette and respect, I absolutely think that we can coexist and we can bring the violence way down. But as long as this system is in play, man, the violence will never stop. And the thing is, we're doing the fake job for them. And if you look at certain countries around the world, man, I got people that I know, places like New Zealand, they can't even, it's illegal to wear patches now in New Zealand. Yeah. And people say that type of shit can't happen here, man. But I mean, look at what this administration is now doing, man. They can do anything they want. If they decide that we are a threat, they will start to do shit like that. You know what I mean? And not doing ourselves any favors with this whole unwritten territorial violence system. It's got to end. It's got to change, man.
Yeah, it's like the bully on the playground, right? It's like the bully on the playground. Someone's tired of it. They're not going to stand for it anymore. And then, or it could be them within their own ranks eating their own. Things like that can start causing a problem.
Well, so in the Pacific Northwest, man, up in like Washington State, there's been movements in the courts to get things like anti-profiling law for clubs and bars and stuff. So what ended up happening is certain club members and stuff went through the courts and pushed for anti-profiling laws in like Seattle, Washington. So what that means is if you get in trouble, if you like pulled over and get in trouble, if you can prove that, the reason you got pulled is because you're at a club, the whole gets thrown out, right? So that's a big for our culture up there. And when that got put in place, what I've been told is all the clubs in the area kind of got together and they said, we've got to make a change, because if we continue to do things the way we were doing it before, we're going to lose these anti-profiling laws. So it can be done, man. Like up there, what's going on right now is there's the whole dominance blessings thing is not in play from what I've been told. Essentially, it's more of a, either play nice or you'll be ostracized, but nothing is under the threat of violence. You know what I mean? So it can be done, and other places just get on board with stuff like that, because, it's only a matter of time. And like this indictment that just happened down in should be a catalyst change, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Anybody with half a brain that's going through that or looking at that, should be saying to themselves, man, we got to make a change. This is obviously not working. I mean, you're talking about systemic illegal practice within our culture being pushed as though it's some kind of state sanctioned thing. You look at these dudes on YouTube talking about it. They talk about it like they're the DMV or something. Go get your blessing, like you're going to the DMV to get your license or something. Like it's some kind of state sanctioned thing. Like it's legal. It's illegal. It's the most illegal practice, man, to say this belongs to me. This area belongs to me. Do what I say or I'm going to kill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's way
it's a
illegal.
fake dream come true is what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And you said they're on the internet saying this type of stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. This dude's selling books about going and asking for blessings and calling people dominants and all this shit. Yeah, absolutely, man. Wow. Whole channel's dedicated to that shit, It's crazy, man. For people on the outside looking in, that's the reaction we often get. People are like, what the fuck, dude? You guys are supposed to be about freedom. What is this? After the Vietnam conflict, people came back from Vietnam and they couldn't get work. The Vietnam conflict was not a popular conflict. So a lot of veterans came back from Vietnam and were not able to find work. So what ended up happening is they ended up using the skills they had from the military to, make money for themselves, put food in the stomach, etc. So back then, that's when MC culture took kind of a hard left turn. A lot of these clubs, started doing committing illicit activity, whatever, to make money to survive. Right? It was a matter of survival back then, and that's when the territories got cut out. So back then it was a necessary thing, but this practice has ran its course. Right now, we're out here killing each other over t-shirt sales and parties. Who gets to throw a party on Saturday and sell t-shirts? And people are dying over this shit, man. It's ran its course. This whole dominance blessings thing has run its course. And if we are going to survive as a culture, we've got to make a change, period.
Now, when someone's wearing you guys' cut and they go out in public, are they expected to act a certain way?
Yeah, 100%, man. We definitely have a code of conduct. Act like an asshole, get treated like an asshole. Act like a gentleman, you get treated like a gentleman. The thing about it is, man, when you're wearing these colors, let's say you go to a bar and get in a fight. You didn't get in a fight. Los Perros got in a fight. You understand? So, everything you do reflects back on all of us. Everything any of us in this club does reflects on every other member. So, we have a good reputation among the clubs we've hung out with and stuff. And we want to keep it that way. We stand up 1%ers,
Now the law enforcement is cracking down like we talked about. Have you had any experiences with law enforcement where they are acting overzealous or they're like harassing you when you go out and things with your brother? Is there any situations you can walk me through?
Yeah, man. I mean, like local law enforcement, small time law enforcement is typically not that bad, to be honest with you. I guess it depends on where you're at, man. Some places, I guess they can be pretty bad, but the law enforcement that messes with us the most, I would say, are not even really law enforcement. It's informants, paid informants. Paid informants are a major threat, man, because they get paid big money. So what they do is they'll come around these clubs and start throwing money at the club. They'll see a brother needs, tires, and they'll buy them, and that's a big deal. And the brothers looks at it as an act of brotherhood, but really it was a paid informant trying to get in good with the club. And what they do is they get into the club and then they create crime where there was none. We've gone through a lot of that type of shit, man, and it sucks. You gotta have your head on a swivel, and man, I mean, we are a club. We don't even commit any type of crime as a club. We're a smaller club. I can only imagine what it's like for some of these bigger clubs.
Yeah, I mean, some of the clubs are so big they get out of control, and You can't contain all that. Like if someone, like, so I go to church, right? So if someone in the church commits a crime,
Yeah.
It's not, they're not holding the whole church as a whole as, oh, it's the church's problem. It's only a certain person that goes to church.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the way they should
Right.
look at it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That type of stuff, man, you know, if you've got a member of your club, you know, secretly out there committing silly little crimes, petty, you know, that is what it is. That occurs, and unfortunately, yeah, it reflects back on all of us. But you know, like I said, man, what's really gonna get us is what the courts can prove is systemic practice, man. The other side of systemic practice that they're coming after us with is these clubs that have long-standing beefs with one another. And what they're starting to try to prove in the courts is that, you know, you may not get an order from your national cabinet to go out and attack these members of these other clubs that you have beef with, but the other brothers in your club will treat you a certain way if you don't take off when you see clubs. You know, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what they're going for now. They're trying to prove that certain things are systemic practice within clubs and within the culture as a whole. You know,
So
we're not doing ourselves any favors.
Yeah. So have you gone? We have a little bit of a delay. What's the farthest you've rode on your bike?
Shit, up and down the East Coast, really. I haven't gone out west on my bike. You know, I've stayed on the East Coast. We as a club, our main spread out throughout the Mid-Atlantic. You know, basically North Carolina to New York City. Yeah, you know, a lot of back and forth up and down the Mid-Atlantic. But yeah, as far as the coast, I haven't done that yet, man.
Have you seen a lot of accidents on your time on the road?
100%, 100%, man. Some of these clubs, man, they push their members so hard, you know, and a lot of these guys are in their late 60s, early 70s and stuff, man. I sent you a bunch of pictures of me with a certain pretty well-known 1% club, you know, that I hung out with quite a bit. You know, those pictures if you want or whatever. But when I was hanging out with that club, man, those dudes, man, they wear a patch that says Survivor with a number next to it for how many years they've been in the club, because every year you're in that club, you survived another year. The most dangerous is the riding. They ride, you know, so crazy that a lot of their members die riding their motorcycle. For us, we've always had kind of a different philosophy, man. We're trying to build a family, a brotherhood. You know, we're not trying to build an Olympic Harley team or something. You know what I mean? So we do it a little different.
What do you think about the way that they ride? How they ride like nose to end, and they're going fast as hell? What do you think of their practices?
I think it's dangerous. I think that you know, you should never push your members to go beyond what they're capable of. You know what I mean? I think that brotherhood should supersede all else, man. You know, I've seen in some of these clubs where some of these guys get pushed into using like meth, you know, just to be able to keep up. You know, they have such a hard time keeping up that before it's all said and done, they're addicted to methamphetamines just so that they could keep up with the pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not
brotherhood. From Florida to Minnesota, right? Yeah,
that's not
so
good. Can you walk me through a situation where maybe you've seen an accident?
Absolutely, man. Me and that that I was, you know, that I'm talking about, that I sent you all those pictures of. We were on our way to a crab feast event in West Virginia called the Crab Feast, and I was at the very, very back of the pack, and there was some probates in front of me. One of the probates, we were going. This is West Virginia, man, so there's a lot of switchbacks, and we were going through the switchbacks, and in front of me, his front wheel kind of tapped the back wheel of one of the full patch members of that club. I come around the turn, and the member and his old are sprawled out on the road, covered in blood and shit, and the probate is off on the side of the road, covered in blood and shit. And I running up to the member, and I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, stop traffic. So I ran up and started traffic that nobody would hit him. It was a man. And that's just one of many, man. I've lost a lot of good friends and brothers, Shit. Rest in peace, Tommy McNina, man. Tommy McNina was another YouTuber. He had his YouTube channel. He was a member of a pretty big club, and he died on his bike out in California.
What happened? Someone pulled in front of him or something?
Man, Tommy was wild, man. Tommy McNina used to, run from the cops for fun on his sport bike and shit like that. So I don't know what he was doing on the day he died. He was a young dude, man, but he was cool as hell. That was my brother.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people pass away on the bike when other people will pull in front of them, or
yeah, 100%. It's a lot of people don't see motorcycles, man. I've had that happen to me quite a few times where people pull right out in front of me. Another danger on bikes is people that hit you coming from behind. People be on their cell phones or whatever, and just full speed ahead. They don't even see you sitting there waiting to take a left turn. Just plow right into you.
And have you been in accidents yourself?
100%, bro. I was down in Mexico. I was only going 35, 40 miles an hour, man, and I hit a diesel slick and a pothole, and my bike essentially catapulted me face first. I wasn't even wearing a helmet or nothing, man. Face first into the asphalt down there in Mexico, bro. It fucked me bad. I'll send you some pictures.
Wow. And what happens? So is your bike destroyed at that time?
The bike that I was on got pretty fucked up. It didn't get but yeah, I've seen bikes get folded up and shit. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I've slid in.
Didn't get destroyed.
I've dumped a bike, dumped one and slid down the road a couple times.
Yeah, man. This was pretty fucked up. My orbital socket or whatever, the bone almost went into my eyeball. It was pretty heavy.
Do you wear a helmet now?
Yeah, I always have. I was down in Mexico. I was on my father-in-law's motorcycle, just riding around the neighborhood down there. And man, it was the last thing I expected. I did not expect to wreck down there. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I wasn't, going that fast. But yeah, man, you'd be surprised. You get catapulted into the pavement at 40 miles an hour, man. It's serious.
What are some other things that your club does? Do you guys do give back to the community and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. One of our chapters is out in the Navajo Nation in New Mexico. So, there's MMIW, missing and murdered indigenous women and children. We've given a lot to those organizations. Women and children getting abducted on the Navajo reservation, stuff like that. We've done charity for some veterans organizations, stuff like that. Yeah, man, we're all about that type of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you guys are giving back to the community.
Yeah, 100%.
That's great, man. So what's in store for the future for you and your club?
Man, my biggest thing, everything I'm doing on social media, from this right now, all the videos, the book I published, all of it is geared toward trying to help my fellow 1%ers make good decisions. You know what I mean? So that our culture can survive and thrive, man. That's everything I've ever done on social media in regard to, this interviews and speaking on all these things. It's all geared toward, helping my fellow 1%ers make good decisions, man. Next time, a 1%er is out riding around and they see another patch, maybe they'll remember hearing what Miklo said. Maybe instead of running up on them and you permission, this, that, and the third, they'll remember seeing a Miklo video, you know, and go about it a different way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of the pictures that you sent me, and you have been around so many different clubs, so many different people support your book and the message that you have. It's a great thing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Copy, man.
Now,
I'll have to send you up an autographed copy.
definitely. So now what's the name of your book?
It's called The Spirit of the One Percenter.
That's dope. What advice would you give to somebody who maybe is in a club or thinking about joining a club? What would be your advice to that person?
My advice to anybody, man, is do as much, you know, research as you can from the outside before you make that decision. And once you make that decision, man, stick with it. You know, club hopping is a plague in our culture right now, man. People club hopping, and these clubs that have kind of a revolving door of membership, you know, it's a problem, man. You know, this is supposed to be for life. At least that's the way we see it. You know, to us, this is much more than just a hobby group. You know what I mean? Some of these clubs out here treating this like it's a hobby group. You know what I mean? The you know, Antelope Valley Astronomy Club or something. So, you know, it's supposed to be so much more than that. We wear the term club out of tradition, but really it's supposed to be more like a family, man. So, you know, my advice would be do your research, decide on the club that's right for you, you know, and once you make that decision, stick with it, man. You know, something that we see far too often, man, is people get real emotional and they use their colors, you know, as a bargaining chip. Like, you know, we're either going to do it my way here, you know, and that's not the way it's supposed to be, man. You know, once you put on a set of colors, you should stick with it forever, man. You know, that's the way we see it.
Yeah. Now, do you think it's possible for people to? Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you know, not only that, as far as advice for anybody joining clubs, man, you know, my advice would be also to start thinking about embracing a different way of doing things. Don't just fall into this cycle of this whole dominance things, terror, violence. Don't be, you know what I mean? Do what you know is right. You know, I feel like far too many people know that system is bullshit and they know it's wrong, but they don't want to be the one to stand up and speak out against it. You know what I mean? So my advice also to people would be, you know, stand up for what you know is right, man. Don't just go along with that system because you're going to regret it in the end.
100%. Do you think it's possible for people to start their own clubs this day and age?
It is one of the most difficult tasks you could ever undertake, man. It's the most frustrating, stressful, 24-hour-a-day jobs you could ever undertake. And that is a fact, man. My club is like 12 years in right now. And it's, you know, we've still got a long way to go to get to where some of these other clubs are, man. And I get frustrated sometimes, and I'll say to my old lady, man, you know, how come this club is able to do this and we are having some time? And be like, man, they've got 60 years on you guys. You can't just go from 0 to 60 years. They've been working on it for 60 years, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, that would be my advice on that, man. If you're starting a club, man, you know, my advice, if you're starting, would be stick with it or don't do it at all, because that's the last thing we need is more, you know, fly by night pop-up clubs that are here one day and gone the next, man. You know, it ain't easy though. You know, my advice would be, if you're going to start a club, especially if you plan on it being a 1% club, you know, you got to have your ducks in a row, research this culture, know what it means to be, understand the philosophy of the one, and live by it, practice it and live by it. You know, real recognize real, man. If you throw on a 1% patch and you're not a 1%er, it very quickly other 1%ers are gonna recognize that and call you out. You know what I mean? So
now, what do you do?
Yeah, man, it's possible. It's possible.
What do you do if a bigger club says we're gonna patch you over to our club? What would you guys say to that?
You're saying if another club tried to force a patch over?
Yeah.
So with us, you know, we would thank them. We would say, you know, listen, thank you. It's an honor. You are willing to consider us for your club, but you know, that's not going to happen. We are who we are. We are Los Perros, and we will die before we forsake that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wild story, man. You have a lot of ambition, and I can see your guys' club going a long way.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know, look, a lot of people, the world is full of assholes, is what I'll say. You know, there's always going to be assholes out there, and you should not put on unless you're willing to stand up to those. Every club has assholes in them, and if they're part of one of these bigger clubs, man, and they're an asshole, that patch is, you know, a Superman cape. So, you know, you got to be ready and willing. Your security protocol has to be tip top, you know, in order to do this. You got to be ready and willing to stand up for what you believe in. You know,
Definitely.
So other organizations try to, you know, push us, bully us, whatever, you know, but we're still here. We ain't going nowhere. It is what it is, you know.
Well, I look forward to seeing where you guys go in the future and the big things ahead. Great things in the future, man. I think you're doing great things with the book and all that.
Yeah, right on.
Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we go?
You, yeah, absolutely. I want to give my wife, Miriam Alejandra. I want to give a shout out to my brothers, my brother Scud, 1%er, my brother Psycho, 1%er, all my brothers. I love y'all.
Definitely, man. And where can they get your book?
Amazon, man. Just go on Google and type in The Spirit of the 1%er, our own Miklo 1%er Swoboda. Or you can hit me up on social media and I'll send you an autograph.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the description for Amazon, and I'll put a link for his social media in the description of this video. I appreciate you, man. If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad. Start your own podcast. Peace.